Warning, this video contains images of a fat, rapidly declining middle-aged man with wonky teeth and highly dubious facial hair. Viewers of a sensitive disposition are advised to exercise caution. Hello, I am a doddering old man, and welcome to my doddering old mansion. It's a humble little dwelling, no more than 11 bedrooms, and only most of them are ensuite. And as for the waterfall grotto, oh dear. Please don't tell anyone how I live. Anyway, in my last video I talked about Res and how it has some of the best music I've ever heard, tunes that have made it into places of prominence amongst my day-to-day listening habits. And today I'm talking about a game that has a soundtrack I love just as much, even though it's a very different kettle drum of fish. This is Gitaroo Man. Gitaroo Man is a game about playing the guitar, but not in a semi-realistic Guitar Hero way. Gitaroo Man predates those games by several years, and realism is not its main goal. In this game, you're not shredding on your axe in order to get enough points to make it to the next gig. Here you're doing it to save an alien planet from an evil empire. I'd say it makes sense in context, but I'm not sure it does. I play the guitar myself, you know. Well, kind of. I don't really know how to play it, but every now and then I pick it up and strum the strings and noise comes out. Wouldn't be entirely accurate to call that noise music, but I have fun. Needs tuning. The main character is U1, a typical teenager with typical teenager problems. His crush barely knows he exists, the cool kid is bullying him, his name consists of a single letter and a numeral, you know, the standard sort of thing. Elon Musk's kid could probably empathise. Slightly less typical is the fact he is also unknowingly the last legendary hero of Planet Gitaroo, something which his talking dog Puma clues him into. This obviously comes as something of a shock to U1, although he should probably have figured out that something weird was going on based on the fact he has a talking dog. A talking dog who, in fact, is the keeper of Gitaroo Man's Gitaroo, without which Gitaroo Man is presumably just, you know, man. So Puma's first job is to teach U1 how to use his birthright. Normally I get impatient with tutorials and skip them, but this one's worth going through just for the music.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's the most basic of the tunes in the game, but dagnabbit if I don't love it. That bass line is just so groovy, yet so simple. And I love the three goofy characters in the background providing the actual backing track. It's now my dream in real life to have three guys dressed in a rabbit suit, a frog suit and a monkey suit following me around and providing me with some theme tunes. Puma guides you through the gameplay, which is really not too complicated. Basically, to play the Gitaroo, you hold down the analog stick in the direction of the green line and press any button when the orange sections reach the middle of the screen. Fortunately, you don't have to be super precise with the analog stick, you just need to be in the general area, but it can still be tough to follow when there's tight turns and wobbly sections. Then, to defend against enemy attacks, you just need to hit the button shown on the screen at the moment it reaches the centre. This is an even more simple premise, but it does require some serious manual dexterity when the game gets fast and furious. And that is absolutely all there is to the gameplay. Like most rhythm games, it really is pretty simple in concept, but it also does an impressively good job at making you feel like you're in control of the music. It's nowhere near as immersive as something like Guitar Hero in that respect, but of course it's not trying to be.
Push, 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 push. Push, 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 push.
It doesn't take U1 long to get the basics under his belt, which is good because he's immediately attacked by a diaper-wearing demon from another dimension. Why a diaper-wearing demon? Why not? Whyever he is, his name is Pampus, which I assume is a reference to the well-known brand of diapers, or nappies for my fellow Australians. Pampas is the first of 7 Gravillian warriors that U1 must duel in order to acquire their Gitaroos and unlock his true form. And a duel is truly what it is, a true old school classic guitar duel. Like in that film with the Karate Kid and Satan. I think that's how it goes, I haven't actually seen the film. This first battle follows the same process as most of the game's 10 stages. First, you charge up your health bar by wailing on your Gitaroo. Then the duel commences. You attack and defend, with any misses draining your hard-won health. If you run out of health, you lose, and you'll have to start the battle again. But if you get your opponent's health low enough, the final phase commences, and you get to play a lethal guitar solo to finish off your foe. You can still actually lose at this point if you miss enough notes, which is incredibly annoying. This song though isn't super challenging, not for a veteran axe wielder like me. So I'm basically free to enjoy the music, and I enjoy it a lot. The tune in this first proper level is a very simple rock standard, but the way U1's crunchy riffs and Pampas's off-the-wall, effects-laden guitar wailing play off each other really works very well, to my ear at least. But the music quickly gets quite a bit more interesting and even better. Level 2 sees U1 ambushed by Flying O, a UFO who wields the synth Gitaroo. And yes, that is what it's called. Apparently Gitaroos don't necessarily need to resemble actual guitars. If you remember my love of electronica, you can probably guess that I'm particularly fond of this track. It's a fun upbeat tune with definite J-pop overtones. U1's Gitaroo produces some kind of harsh but still melodious saw waves, while Flying O's synth-heavy keyboard sounds offer a frenetic counterpoint. I play the piano myself, you know. Well, kind of. I don't actually know how to play it. But every year or so I determine that I'm definitely going to learn how to play it, and I last about a day or two before I remember that it's really, really tough and give up. This level is a whole heap more difficult than the first. It's still not exactly a challenge for me now, but it definitely took me a few tries to get through when I first played the game decades ago. Level 3 doesn't increase the difficulty too much, but it sure as hell showcases the diversity of the game's soundtrack. It's an incredibly awesome jazz funk number, and by god does it go heavy on the funk. It's just so damn cool. Even doddering old men are moved by its smooth grooves. The enemy here is Mojo King B. I can't quite say why exactly he's a bee, no more than I can say why the first level pitted you against a nappy-clad demon, but the mojo part is definitely accurate. He's swimming in it. He's got enough mojo to give Austin Powers a run for his money. Plus, he plays the trumpet. I play the trumpet myself, you know. Well, kind of. I don't actually know how to play it, not anymore. But I did play it in the high school band, as I think I've mentioned it before. And I was okay at it, but I never really got the hang of jazz. I just couldn't get into the swing of it. Thanks to Gitaroo Man though, I can at least feel a simulation of that swing. And in this game, it really is important to be able to feel the music. There are visual cues, sure, but unless your mind and your eyes are a lot quicker than mine, you won't be able to rely on just the visuals. Especially if you're going for a high score or a full combo, you need to know the music and get completely into the groove. And that's why the diversity of the music in this game is so nice to have. The groove you need to get into varies hugely from song to song. Level 4 is a bit different from the others. It's very short, really just half a level, if that, and there's no charge phase and no attack phase. All you do here is fly at max speed in your rocket ship, which Puma conveniently had stashed away, defending against Ben K, a giant space shark. I played the giant space shark myself, you know. Well, okay, that's not actually true. But I was telling the truth about the guitar, the piano and the trumpet. I'm a very musical person. Or at least I would be if I had any skill, dedication, motivation, talent. As short as it is, this level is another step up in difficulty. The enemy's attacks come thick and fast, and defending against them is a real challenge. In fact, it's at this point you might need to consider adapting the way you hold the controller. One thumb isn't enough to hit the buttons with the speed and reliability you need to do well, so you might need to improvise. This level definitely took me many attempts to get through for the first time, but now, even with my rusty fingers and aging nerves, I don't have too much trouble. Level 5 is basically a continuation of the previous level, as the giant space shark that was pursuing you turns into a giant shark mecha thing. Fortunately, you get your own mecha too, and this level is much easier than the space pursuit, mainly due to the fact the song here is a slow, chilled out hip hop number with turntables and reggae style vocals. The attack phase spirals around the whole heap, requiring you to be active on the analog stick, but here's the thing. So long as you hit the button at the right time to start the note, it doesn't really matter if you mess up the direction after that, you still don't lose health. This is probably my least favourite tune in the game, just because it's not really the sort of music I generally listen to. But I still absolutely love it, which is a testament to just how good the music in this game is, and how skillfully it's been crafted. Once Ben K gets launched off into space, U1 and Puma finally land on planet Gitaroo. There, U1 meets Kira, a girl who bears an uncanny resemblance to Pico, the object of U1's desire back on Earth. Now, 99% of guys who try to impress girls with their guitar skills are just talentless doofuses who succeed only in embarrassing themselves. I should know. But U1 is part of the 1%, I guess. It helps that he's good at what he does. This level doesn't have an opponent as such, it's just you and your Gitaroo and a gentle but rather beautiful acoustic melody. Oh, and those three goofballs in the animal costumes are still hanging around. This level does highlight one small problem the game has, although it's not really a flaw as such. The thing is, the music is consistently amazing, but in this level in particular, if you mess up it really destroys the musical flow. And gameplay wise that makes perfect sense, and indeed it provides a motivation to get really good at the game. Plus, of course, these days if you want to listen to the music played perfectly, there's always YouTube. But this game predates YouTube, and back when I first played it I would have really appreciated having a demo mode or something that would have allowed me to listen to the music without having to stress about actually playing the game at the same time. Fortunately though, this song is relatively easy, so flow destroying errors aren't too much of a problem, usually. After U1 has thoroughly seduced the fair maiden, he awakens to find that Puma has been kidnapped and Kira has ditched him. Or something. Honestly, the story in this game is fine for what it is, but it doesn't really bear much discussion or analysis. It's goofy, it's nonsensical, but it does its job. Ultimately, this game is all about the music and how it relates to the gameplay. And the best of the music is up next. This really is a standout piece as far as I'm concerned, which is kind of remarkable considering it's of a genre I really had no interest in before playing this game. Or even after playing this game, actually. But yeah, this one tune, it really caught my attention. It's another acoustic piece, but this time with some truly virtuosic Spanish guitar and some heavy doses of simply awesome percussion. The level starts a bit differently as Puma has been tied up and is unable to give U1 his Gitaroo, so all the hapless lad can do is dodge the attacks of his three skeletal foes, known as the Sandbone Trio. and noticed their PlayStation controller pelvises. A nice touch, I always thought. Although PlayStation controller pelvises is not a phrase I thought I'd ever need to use. This is quite a tough level. It took me a fair bit of time just to get past the opening defense phase back in the day. And even now, there's an outside chance I might fail this level. It doesn't happen on this playthrough though. Not that I'd mind having an excuse to play this level twice, or 3 times, or more. I really can't overstate just how much I love this track. This is the music that inspires me to load up Gitaroo Man at least a couple of times a year just to play this level. I inevitably end up playing through the whole game after that, but yes, this level is unequivocally my favourite. Incidentally, after playing through Gitaroo Man again for this playthrough, I noticed in the credits that a guy called Steve Ito was credited with specialist percussion on this track, and after a long search, I managed to track him down on YouTube. I left a comment on one of his videos about how much I just really loved the percussion in this track, and I got a response. Now, I'm old enough to remember a time before the internet was a thing, and I still am blown away by just how cool it is to be able to get in touch with a relatively obscure musician from a faraway country and tell them just how much pleasure they've given me throughout the decades. It's a really cool thing, and I think we take it for granted to some extent. Reminds you what a gift the internet actually is, even if it does also provide armies of trolls and nastiness. Anyway, on to level 8. This is another tune that is of a genre that isn't necessarily to my taste, but once again it's just so skillfully crafted that I can't resist its charms. Your opponent is Gregorio Siegfried Wilhelm III, an extremely German name for someone who is actually an alien from planet Gitaroo. His weapon of choice is not so much a weapon but a building-sized pipe organ, and his favoured genre is flamboyant symphonic metal. It's another challenging level, at least the equal of the previous one. The melody is free-flowing and has some very complicated rhythmic patterns, meaning you really need to be on the ball. I can't quite figure out if this Gregorio guy is amusing or annoying. I'm willing to go with amusing for now, but if I had to try this level over and over, it might change to annoying. Once again though, I managed it first time on this playthrough. And now, U1 needs to defeat only one more enemy and claim one more Gitaroo in order to unlock his true power. But, gasp, his final foe is none other than Kira, the mysterious girl he met earlier. They engage in another classic guitar duel with some cheesy but incredibly cool riffs. Unfortunately, this section doesn't last long, which really is a shame. I'd love to hear a full version of this tune. But alas, U1 can't bring himself to attack this girl he's spent a grand total of 4 minutes with. Instead, he launches into an impromptu electric version of the melody he seduced her with in the first place. Kira resists at first, but eventually melts under the power of music, and the duel becomes a duet. And yes, this too is incredibly cheesy, but dagnabbit if it isn't just an awesome moment as the two guitars come together. So Kira voluntarily gives up her Gitaroo to U1. Zoe, leader of the Gravelians and doppelganger of the kid who bullies U1 back on Earth, isn't about to go down quietly, however, so of course it's time for the final epic battle. Before that can happen though, U1 needs to psych himself up while being berated by Zoe.
Tell me what you do.
I can do it!
What, defeat me?
I can!
Not you.
Can too!
You're a loser.
Am not!
Always made fun of.
No way!
Always dumb.
This goes on for some time.
Fail in all things.
No!
Can't do anything.
Yes, I can!
So what can you do?
I can do it!
What is it you can do?
I can do it!
It takes roughly 1,000 years, but finally U1 manages to achieve Gitaroo Man's ultimate form. Then he and Zoe soar into the sky, and the guitar duel to end all guitar duels commences. It's a heavy, grungy rock tune, full of amped up distortion and overloaded with effects, and it's probably the hardest of all the stages. It's definitely the longest, but fortunately you get multiple charge phases to refill your health bar, which makes things a lot easier. It's a fitting end, I think. The game works its way through a hugely diverse array of genres, but it ends with 2 electric guitars just rocking out, vying for supremacy. And yes, I managed to get this level done on the first attempt too. I guess there's life in my old thumbs yet. I should perhaps mention that I didn't manage to do it on the first attempt a few days later when I was live streaming the game. The pressure of all those countless thousands of people watching must have gotten to me. So that's pretty much the end of the game. U1 returns to Earth, somehow, where, filled with a newfound confidence, he punches his old bully in the face and abducts his crush. At least that's how I interpret events. And then the credits roll. But I'm not quite done with this game yet. Once you finish it on normal mode, you unlock Master Play mode. And holy crap, does that make things harder. The patterns and button presses get quite a bit more complicated, but more significantly, the amount of health you lose when you mess up is vastly increased. Falling out of the groove just once can be enough to cause you to fail. It really is brutal. Back when I first played this game, it took me days to get past the second level, and weeks to get past the fourth level, the one where you have to battle the space shark. You just have to press the button so damn quickly.
Oh, you lose.
And I never ever managed to get past the Sandbone Trio, try as I might. And I tried a lot, because as I think I made clear, I absolutely love that track, so I was happy to attempt it over and over, and over. Alas, to no avail. And, I'm ashamed to admit, playing it again now, I can't even make it past the UFO in the second level. It's a fast but fairly straightforward tune, but I just can't muster the speed and precision required. I give up. I've tried a bunch of times, and I've enjoyed trying because I love this song, but I know when I'm fighting a losing battle. So, that's Gitaroo Man. It's not a lengthy game, it's not a complicated game, but it's one that's stuck in my mind ever since I first played it. Actually, at first I only rented it from a video store, but I loved it so much that I went out and bought it, even though I had to special order it and it cost more than a standard game because it was so hard to find. But I paid the price without hesitation. I perhaps wouldn't have been quite so eager to part with my cash if YouTube had been a thing and I'd been able to listen to the music whenever I wanted, or if I'd been a bit more internet savvy and a bit more unscrupulous and been willing and able to just download some MP3s. But these days, it's a game I'm very happy to have in my collection. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you haven't found the visual presence of my doddering old self too off-putting. It does, though, give me the opportunity to look you in the eye as I say, get off my lawn.